is Max Eternity, and I'm here with Matthew Draving of Johansson Projects in downtown Oakland. Johansson Projects is one of the galleries that is a part of the Oakland Art Murmur, which happens every first Friday of the month. And we're going to be talking today about a group show with Bischoff, Soren, and Black. Matthew, thanks for taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you.
And could you just give an overview about this show, the three artists that are in it, and why Johansson Projects chose to exhibit these artists together?
Sure. Johansson Projects, we've been here for about 4 years now, and throughout our programming, often the idea of something natural with something about our natural habitat being obstructed or changed or somehow morphing into something else has been a theme that has arisen multiple times. And with Bryce Bischoff, who we have shown some work by before, he's working with this idea of these caves, adding something that is unexpected to the caves. And also with Tabitha Soren, she's totally warping your perspective of these natural ways, which everyone's so familiar with.
But sort of contrast with the caves.
Exactly.
That's still in
and
the
then,
natural realm.
if you've been to the gallery before, you'll notice our moss ceiling, which is a permanent installation by Misako Onoka, but again, dealing with this natural moss covering, which would be found on trees and on the ground in natural habitats, but is inverted, like Tabitha's images, to be on the ceiling, which has become sort of a pinpoint of Johansson Project.
And Ellen Black?
And Ellen Black also is working with this idea of technological utopia, which doesn't actually exist, but is pulled from elements of nature and elements of humanity that are that we are all familiar with.
Incorporated into a virtual world.
Right. And yeah. In many ways, a lot of these things I think would deal with virtual worlds, even if they're not on the computer per se, or what we think of as virtual being on a screen or something like that.
But perhaps in the imagination.
Still creating a virtual
right.
environment.
Go deeper into the world of art, technology, and creativity by attending a 21st Century Creative Legends Workshops with the Masters. This exciting new one-day workshop series will travel across the nation, visiting San Francisco, Atlanta, New York City, Cleveland, Boston, Dallas, and many other cities. Workshops with the Masters is produced by MaxEternity.com, an art digital magazine, so you can be sure of a quality experience that's interesting, enlightening, and educational. You'll have one-on-one direct experience with renowned authors, artists, educators from around the world. So visit artdigitalmagazine.com or maxeternity.com to learn more and sign up today.
So I wanted to ask specifically about each artist. Let's talk first about Bryce Bischoff's work. As you mentioned a moment ago, he does these sort of photographs in caves, the Bronson Caves. Tell me a little bit about the Bronson Caves and then how Bryce adapts his ideas and concepts to those caves.
Sure. I think in a lot of ways he's responding to this environment that over the years has been used. The caves are outside of LA and have been used since film was invented as a site for filming strange events in science fiction movies. And that was Batman's cave. It was the Batcave in Batman, the original.
That's interesting.
And hundreds and hundreds of other movies and photo shoots and other things like that where people are drawn to this strange environment, which also it is they're called caves, but they were used as mining shafts, which is how they originated.
So they're actually man-made.
Yeah.
But okay, interesting.
And so Bryce is responding to this with what is somewhere between performance, photography, sculpture, in the way that he's using long exposure photography to document a performance of him moving around in front of the camera with colored sheets of paper and sometimes fabric to create what seems like this perceived object or
being,
smoky sort of something, a being, you could say. And so by doing this, he's really juxtaposing this clear, focused cave with this sort of mystical object in the foreground.
It's tying the cave to its historical place, being a magical, mystical place.
Right.
Go deeper into the world of art, technology, and creativity by attending a 21st Century Creative Legends Workshops with the Masters. This exciting new one-day workshop series will travel across the nation, visiting San Francisco, Atlanta, New York City, Cleveland, Boston, Dallas, and many other cities. Workshops with the Masters is produced by MaxEternity.com, an art digital magazine, so you can be sure of a quality experience that's interesting, enlightening, and educational. You'll have one-on-one direct experience with renowned authors, artists, educators from around the world. So visit artdigitalmagazine.com or MaxEternity.com to learn more and sign up today.
When we talk about the work by Tabitha Soren, I view the work, it's voluminous, waves crashing, but it's kind of distorted. You don't really know what the perspective is or the angle or perhaps even the shutter frame that the photographs were taken. There's a surreal element, but it's all tied together very nicely. Talk a little bit about her work, if you will.
Okay, I think with Tabitha's work, the interesting thing is that a lot of people are thrown off but can't tell why. And she's taking pictures of the ocean, and she's not manipulating them in Photoshop or compositing or doing anything like that.
Yeah, it looks like that, but she's actually not.
It's something so simple where she just is flipping the image upside down, and which turns an
easily identifiable.
An environment that you're familiar with, that you've stood in before, stood in these waves crashing at your feet, and you've heard of tsunamis and all of these other ferocious ocean, things that can happen in the ocean. But she's all doing that with one flip of the image,
right?
And it sort of becomes. She started out as a journalist, and so she's always working with this sort of nostalgia that people feel when they see an image, and
what the image tells them. What's the connection?
Yeah. And by throwing it off, she's sort of turning this nice thing into something that makes you feel like you're underneath like this rage.
Right, exactly. It almost looks like it could just come right out of the frame on top of you.
Go deeper into the world of art, technology, and creativity by attending a 21st Century Creative Legends Workshops with the Masters. This exciting new one-day workshop series will travel across the nation, visiting San Francisco, Atlanta, New York City, Cleveland, Boston, Dallas, and many other cities. Workshops with the Masters is produced by MaxEternity.com, an art digital magazine, so you can be sure of a quality experience that's interesting, enlightening, and educational. You'll have one-on-one direct experience with renowned authors, artists, educators from around the world. So visit artdigitalmagazine.com or MaxEternity.com to learn more and sign up today.
And finally, I wanted to ask about the work of Ellen Black. In the description of the show, it says Ellen manipulates environments, creating uncanny exaggerations and projections of what could exist. In viewing the work, there's magical landscapes. It is this possibility of what could exist in nature, but that doesn't actually exist. And is this utopia? Is this dystopia? Which is it? Could you talk about her work?
Well, I would say it is neither utopia or dystopia for everyone. It could be one or the other for individuals. And with her work, she's always focused on this way that technology allows people to create false environments, or not false per se, but virtual environments that don't exist in the palpable physical world that we're familiar with. And it's a relatively new thing, but people are using Second Life and making avatars and constantly creating these personas and these environments.
Sort of questioning what is reality, or what could reality become.
Yeah, and how would you like to live if you could live any way and it didn't have any effects on your physical body.
Yeah.
And so she has these videos of these utopias or dystopias that are protruding from the architecture, which again mirrors that way that we're familiar with something, an environment that we live in, which is these architectural facets of the room, the ceiling, and Johansson Projects has a lot of these intricacies with the arches and
Of the
everything
actual
in the
space.
architecture. But she's playing off of that with these facets that, rather than being mounted on the wall, seem to be coming off of the wall and extruding from what we're normally presented.
Go deeper into the world of art, technology, and creativity by attending a 21st Century Creative Legends Workshops with the Masters. This exciting new one-day workshop series will travel across the nation, visiting San Francisco, Atlanta, New York City, Cleveland, Boston, Dallas, and many other cities. Workshops with the Masters is produced by MaxEternity.com, an art digital magazine, so you can be sure of a quality experience that's interesting, enlightening, and educational. You'll have one-on-one direct experience with renowned authors, artists, educators from around the world. So visit artdigitalmagazine.com or maxeternity.com to learn more and sign up today.
And finally, Matthew, I wanted to ask about sort of the curatorial process of a show with 3 artists that are being exhibited in a relatively small space. At the same time, the space accommodates these large format prints and videos quite well. How does that come together, and what's the methodology of pulling these types of artists together for a single show?
Well, we had worked with 2 of the artists before, and in every show we do, we try and think about how the works are going to affect each other. So we found the third artist, Tabitha, whose work had qualities from both of the other 2, but formally is very different with the large sweeping fabric piece that she did that comes into your environment in a similar way that Ellen's pieces come out of the architecture, but also had this very simple effect of turning a photograph into something completely unnatural, like Bryce's did. So that's how we sort of found these 3 artists, and then hanging the show, we were always noticing these nuances, like the reflection in one of Bryce's piece with the mating ritual by Ellen Black,
The snakes mating ritual
that are appearing in the reflection of Bryce's cave.
The video is reflecting on
So not only formal elements, but content can be mirrored in pieces that are next to each other, and
so that even within the show itself, you're sort of creating a different environment with the work, and then how the work plays on each other.
Exactly.
Thanks for taking the time to speak with me.
And thank you.
Go deeper into the world of art, technology, and creativity by attending a 21st Century Creative Legends Workshops with the Masters. This exciting new one-day workshop series will travel across the nation, visiting San Francisco, Atlanta, New York City, Cleveland, Boston, Dallas, and many other cities. Workshops with the Masters is produced by MaxEternity.com, an art digital magazine, so you can be sure of a quality experience that's interesting, enlightening, and educational. You'll have one-on-one direct experience with renowned authors, artists, educators from around the world. So visit artdigitalmagazine.com or maxeternity.com to learn more and sign up today.